If you could only stand in one place, is there somewhere that has the best vibes in all of Cyberpunk? I spent days exploring this game, looking for non-obvious, slightly tucked away locations, and the last one might just have the best vibes in all of Cyberpunk. Starting with number one, which is in the bottom left of the map in the Biotechnica protein farm. You can climb a series of ladders and end up on this metal platform. And here's spot number one. If you flew a drone overhead, it would be the opening shot to a scene in Blade Runner. Ryan Gosling would then spend several minutes walking around as slowly as possible. Looking out makes me feel like an ant on a motherboard. We've got ribbon cables plugged into chips and big cooling cylinders. You know, computer stuff. Also, I've never tried one, but I can't help but feel like the vape pen would hit so hard here. Is that how you hold a vape pen? I actually don't know. I like that it's peaceful, but in a massive, sterile kind of way. I can't shake the feeling that this company has done bad things here. In those tents, there's a lot of profit and not a lot of ethics going on. Very dissimilar to the real world, thank God. By the way, don't fact check me with the lore of this area. This is a vibes-based exploration only. Everyone knows lore doesn't count anyway. This is the kind of place I'd come to think about my life and realize most of my decisions have been bad. You know there's a security guard that sits here on his lunch break every day for like 10 years until eventually the guilt of what this company has done on his watch gets to him and he blows his brains out. The whole thing looks like an Excel spreadsheet came to life and is trying to build an army to storm the city. Not to mention it's got big, after construction, we laid off 500 employees energy. The kind of thing Microsoft would be very proud of. And these drones flying around are like bumblebees, but instead of honey, it's capitalism. So on the vibe scale, I rate this spot a B movie out of 10. Location 2 is a short drive from Medeski fuel station. I know we come here during the main story, but I don't think many people come back for the vibes alone, which is why it still feels underrated to me and worth mentioning. Don't you think Gary Vee would stand here and film a motivational TikTok where he tells you to work harder? As a set piece, I find this place unbelievably striking. It's a literal mountain of garbage. And to actually come here and rummage through everything would be insanely fun. There's something about the level of detail that just feels unreasonably high effort. Like the devs didn't need to make this random corner of the map that you only visit once or twice so epic. Now, unfortunately, they did simply model this after an Amazon returns warehouse. So I do have to take points away for that. I like that the power line tower is being slowly buried by the people who need it. I bet there's a kid who ran away from home and just grew up here, living off the scraps of humanity. Also, the amount of dead bodies being dumped would be astronomical. I'm surprised there's not a cop just stationed at the entrance waiting for criminals to pull up. By the way, if you printed out my entire browsing history, this is what it would look like. The fires are anytime I go on Reddit. Also, I don't know if you know this, but there's an entire IKEA store somewhere under the surface. So pretty cool. It is very confronting to see the dark side of consumerism turned into a museum like this. And anyway, while writing this script, I had 2 Amazon packages arrive, so all good. Okay, last one. If a raccoon were president, this would be the capital of Night City. Raccoon president, pretty good writing, if you ask me. So on the vibe scale, I rate this one a Wally out of 10. Hi, it's me, historically accurate Jez. And when Steve Jobs created Earth, he also made a tool so powerful it took us billions of years to recreate. A tool so useful, it recently convinced time itself to take a day off. That tool is the Lawnmower 5 White Hot Edition. Merely turning it on can heal a fatal wound. And after using it, every decision you make might accidentally seduce your next door neighbor. Trimming my beard with this has taught my dog to speak fluent Spanish. And I don't even have a dog. If you're not careful, grooming with Manscaped will cause your ex-GF to text you, and the message will say, I messed up. That's right, this trimmer is so precise, it can adjust the moon's orbit by 3 millimeters just for fun. Truthfully, using Manscaped has made all my enemies mysteriously lactose intolerant, and I really do use their products almost every day. So get 15% off the Lawnmower 5 in White Hot with promo code JEZ15 at manscaped.com. Sponsored by Manscaped and 1 glass of milk. This next spot is a bar in Lele Park, and there's 100 small details I'm obsessed with, so hear me out. These giant LED floor panels, S tier. The purple seating decor. What does purple usually symbolize? Royalty and luxury, S tier. Subtle, but I'm clever, so I caught that. The golden cracks coming through the marble tiles on the floor, as if the wealth is seeping through like a weed, S tier. Golden metal grills to walk on, because that's how rich we are, S tier. The purple squiggly bar stools, obviously S tier. In the distance, the hologram tree makes it feel like Christmas, S tier. Okay, this is cheating to move, but these very nearby steps that light up, best staircase in the game, and it's not even close, IMO. S tier. I love the violent juxtaposition between the real trees and the digital screens on the trees. Then there's some nature preserved in a glass cage with real-time stock market trackers on the glass in the corner. Everything's so curated, it feels like someone said, I want real plants as background music. This is actually the kind of place I would bring my wife on a date. It's slightly expensive, but open to anyone on the street, so it can't be too expensive. It's basically a high-end mall. Every day you've got a corpo middle manager on his second divorce that stops by after work. There's a rich couple being casually racist about their ethnic maid. There's a guy in finance that's burnt out and developing a drinking problem. Those are the kind of people you would see here. It's the kind of bar where someone might say, surprise me, but make it tax deductible. The kind of place where I'm pretty sure the trees have more health insurance than your average person, and the vending machines have their own stock portfolio. And it's up, baby. So on the vibe scale, I rate this a corporate lounge out of 10. This next one is a short drive from the dam viewpoint where you can jump up onto one of these concrete roofs. Now, there are better views for the height of the city, but to me, this is the best view for the depth of the city. The sheer amount of distance before the skyscrapers start is outrageous. I like that the roads weave through the sand like arteries, transporting the lifeblood of any city, its people. I love the giga wall that just sits there dominating the landscape. The reservoir behind it has completely dried up and been abandoned, which you can also see from this roof. And now it's just another dumping ground for people's trash. Another corporate mismanaged project where the CEO still got $1 million bonus that year. Hooray. Personally, I don't trust a wall that looks like it wants to speak to the manager. And I'm pretty sure I saw Chris Hemsworth filming a cologne ad here. I can imagine somebody who made a big mistake coming here for one last view of the city before disappearing into the Badlands to start a new life. Or it's the loading screen for your meditation app of choice. But really, this is where Dude Perfect would come to film a trick shot video, tossing basketballs off the edge for 8 hours straight. My guess is every 6 months, there's a news story about someone who got too close to the edge and tragically fell to their death. And if this concrete isn't having a midlife crisis, then I don't dress like a fertile elven maid. Sometimes. On the vibe scale, I rate this spot a Windows Vista out of 10. Next up is number 5, and this one is in Reconciliation Park right next to the fast travel point. If you want some greenery in Cyberpunk, your options are very limited. But standing on this small hut gives you a pretty solid nature documentary filmed in a parking garage kind of vibe. Earlier, when the Lele Park bar had glass around the plants, that now makes sense because this area has no glass and people just put their rubbish with the trees. The beauty in this space is depressingly tainted. There's tall trees, but they're surrounded by concrete. There's green grass, but it's covered in garbage. There's nice water, but it's also toxic. In this world, everything good comes at a cost. We both know there's a 40-year-old dad who jogs through every morning and sometimes buys drugs. Someone's getting finger banged in a dark corner somewhere. Teenagers dodging school come here to hang occasionally, but everything here exists in the shadow of the corporations. The physical looming shadow as they tower above, trying to crush you out of existence. But hey, you don't just visit this park, you soft launch your new side hustle here. And everyone knows it's just an MLM. Even the sunlight feels like it's only there to fulfill a brand obligation. And yes, the water may as well be engine oil, but these umbrellas just got a job in marketing, and now they earn more money than you do. Smile. On the vibe scale, I give this place a homeless street fight out of 10. This next spot is right next to the 101 North fast travel. You come here for a quest, but I still think it's criminally underrated. I checked every beach in Night City, and this one is by far the best. The least rubbish, the least people, the least noise, the best view, and it's the furthest from the city. If you can get past the potential sewage coming out of these pipes, you're in for a wonderful time. The palm trees are living their best life like there isn't a giant oil field right behind them, and ignorance looks good. If there was a lifeguard here, he would be trying to flirt with your teenage daughter 100%. A questionable lawyer comes here on his lunch break to eat a protein bar and listen to an audiobook. The guy who's been laid off but hasn't told the wife comes here to day drink, and I love that for him. This is the kind of beach you don't find shells, but you do find a soggy ID. A place where the water is more dangerous than the sun. A place where the breeze smells like overtime and industrial runoff. Despite the hazards though, it is truly peaceful. The clouds have nowhere to be, the water is still, and the palm trees love a good hang. Like my balls, they are getting lower by the year. ugh, gravity is a bitch. On the vibe scale, I rate this place a Hawaii shirt out of 10. This next one is near the Arasaka estate, fast travel, and it's the backyard of Denny's house. A more generic video would have chosen Kerry Eurodyne's place or the Arasaka estate, but not me, although both are gorgeous. No, this spot isn't just about the wealth, it's about the taste. Something rich people rarely have in my experience. There's a modern elegance to this backyard that doesn't overwhelm the vibe. The only thing I love more than having good neighbors is not having neighbors at all. This place has the perfect amount of privacy on all sides, which is probably the most unrealistic thing about the whole property. This is the kind of house that makes me hate myself for not being more successful in life. You can easily see a husband coming home to find his wife in bed with another man here, or a woman in a bikini tanning with her sunglasses on. Somebody's staying in the guest room and going through a quiet recovery from drug abuse after a very public breakdown. There's a guy pacing in a bathrobe doing a business deal over the phone. These are the things we find here. I have to admit the palm trees and the garden are doing a lot of the heavy lifting for how much I love this place. What is the point of these concrete squares though? That is an insane trip hazard. By the way, this pool has its own Instagram account and it's got more followers than you do. And there's no music playing anywhere, but you can still hear the sound of passive income. I do love the insane view of the skyscrapers and mountains though. It feels like you have all the upside of living in the city with none of the downside because you're not in the city. On the vibe scale, I rate this place a Hollywood sex party out of 10. This next spot is near the Grand Imperial Mall fast travel and it's out on the tracks of the old Pacifica roller coaster. The only thing I love more than a big city in fiction is a big city in ruins in fiction. And you can really see the scale of Pacifica's downfall from up here. The view is stunning, but there's a sadness to it, which is classic CDPR. We can't just have a nice thing, it's always a nice broken thing. Anyway, you know a teenager sneaks up here to escape his abusive stepdad, no experience with that personally. An old man stands where he took his wife on their first date, but the Ferris wheel is gone and so is his wife. R.I.P. Barb, we miss you. The pigeons come here for their weekly government meetings. And you know what I always say, nothing screams family fun like structural decay. Ooh woo. But don't feel too bad because this roller coaster has a mildly successful podcast about men's issues, so it's doing fine. I like that from up here you can see every bad decision the city has made. And if I had to guess, there's a 20% chance this entire structure is being held up by a single crab. I love the vaguely threatening buildings in the distance. It looks like the world is flat and that's the edge right there. If you jumped in a boat, you could sail right off the edge and find Captain Jack Sparrow in another dimension. I love looking at the little 2D cars slide along like it's a puppet show. They look so goofy and cute, like you do every time you leave the house. It really does feel like nothing can touch me up here, except my uncle when I was 12. On the vibe scale, I rate this place a limbo city from Inception out of 10. For the next one, I'm standing on the Big Rock by the Big Rock fast travel. Sorry for all the technical jargon there. Another landscape of beauty just peppered with sadness. As an Australian, this wide open space really fondles my privates. The fact that we can get this far away from Night City is absurd. It looks like a flat skybox in the distance, but that's where most of the game is. If someone dies in these Badlands, 48 hours and they're part of the scenery forever. Out here, the dirt and sand are your mummy. This place is so far gone, even the corporations have stopped advertising. There's nothing left. Every now and then, I bet a cult sets up nearby before imploding. Now that you mention it, I think I saw Jared Leto walking around earlier. Can't you just picture an old man drinking a beer and reminiscing about when he helped build the turbines? Or a bunch of suits coming here every year for their Burning Man, aka to do drugs and cheat on their wives. I'll tell you one thing, you don't find this place, you just end up here. The people living in this wasteland haven't paid taxes in a decade, and that's a lifestyle I can get behind. I bet those turbines gossip so hard about the solar panels. On the vibe scale, I rate this place a Las Vegas desert out of 10. For the final location, I wanted to be neck deep in the splendor of Night City, suffocated by it like the thighs of a goth girl. I know what you're thinking, Lucy's apartment roof, or even V's apartment. No, too obvious. Top of the Arasaka Tower. Also no, too tall. So I scaled countless buildings without cheats, looking for the perfect vantage point. And for me, this is it. I call it the Charter Street Rooftop because that's where I started climbing initially. Everywhere you look is a slice of civilization so detailed, it may as well be real life. The advertisements scroll so high, they touch the heavens like the Tower of Babel. There's a million people around you living their busy lives and yet you've never felt more alone. There's so many wires, you could play Wonderwall on guitar. It looks like the world ended, but then someone rebuilt it with the scraps they found lying around. There's a certain ordered chaos to everything. I've never had anxiety, but I assume this is what it looks like. I do suspect someone just built this city out of my wife's open Safari tabs though. In this place, if the rent doesn't kill you, the low building standards will. There's just an overwhelming density in every direction. Also, every window here hides some kind of crime. I bet there's so much 5G in the air that if you sneeze, some Wi-Fi comes out. I don't mean to get personal, but these buildings have more air conditioners than I have dollars in my bank account. But the coolest thing about this spot is that you're surrounded by a world of art made by humans who care. And I couldn't have made this video without these patrons, so thanks for the cash, awooga, and money sounds. Now what if I told you that this bucket from The Witcher 3 has a secret? And to learn that secret, I went on a journey which is on screen now. Trust me, you'll love that vibe-based investigation. You should watch it immediately.